I've been telling people if you're listening to the show over the air on News Radio 1310 KLIX or listening online at newsradio1310.com, it's key that you keep your hearing because your hearing will help you when it comes, since we don't do pictures unless you wait hours and hours on end, see the videos and try to read my lips later in the day. And I've been recommending as well that you get your hearing checked out. Dr. Christine Pickup is a doctor of audiology. She's located at Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert. The address is 1218 9th Street, Unit Number 2. You can give her office a call if you're looking for some screening and you'd like someone to actually check your hearing. A lot of people do have concerns. You get to a certain age. And for instance, if you're holding up a telephone to one ear and it sounds like it's better there than the other one, perhaps it's time to get your hearing checked. 208-312-0957 or go to the web, check them out on the computer at mountharrisonaudiology.com. Hearing loss is strongly associated with depression. When you struggle to follow a conversation or you politely nod because you don't understand what someone is talking about, you may decide it's easier to skip out on that night with friends or the next family gathering. Stay connected with those you love. Hearing connects you with people and keeps you engaged in life. Don't let hearing loss keep you from enjoying your family and your friends. It's 824. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. I mentioned earlier the president is jetting off to Oregon today, and a lot of roads are going to be closed down. He's probably going to land somewhere really big like Portland, and then it's a long drive, couple of hours. Well, they'll chopper him in, I guess, right? But they'll still have to close a lot of roads down by Umpqua Community College. And I also mentioned a few minutes ago that the President of the United States is simply acting in many ways as if he happens to be a divine right monarch, bypassing the Constitution. And you know what? He has a lot of friends in media who support him in this. There's a columnist at the Washington Post by the name of Eugene Robinson who has been arguing for years that his fellow traveler in the White House simply rule by decree. Now, this is a guy who Robinson claims that America was an apartheid country up through the 1960s, and yet he wants Obama to rule as a dictator. It seems to me that liberals need to get their story straight. Mr. Obama negotiated, through John Kerry, as you know, one of his minions, a nuclear deal with the Iranians. And then we were told, you've got no choice, you've got to accept this. And he steamrollered a lot of people in the House and Senate especially, where this should have gone for approval as a treaty. And they're not calling it that. Over at Fox News Channel, James Rosen, who is a reporter who has been spied upon by the Obama White House, we should note, they spied on his family as well, he is saying that the president himself is breaking a law that the president backs. What is he talking about? Well, here he is with a few details.
Tucked away in Annex 2, Section B of the Iran nuclear deal is a key concession to Iran in the form of sanctions relief, one that stands to deliver tens of billions to the Islamic regime. The passage provides that if Iran meets its obligations, the U.S. government will give licenses to the foreign subsidiaries of U.S. parent companies to do business in Iran. What lawyers call the foreign sub loophole will be opened up in a big way. The problem is that back on August 10th, 2012, shortly before the president welcomed these guests to iftar dinner at the White House, he signed into law a measure called the Iran Threat Reduction Act. Section 218 of that law directed President Obama to close the foreign sub-loophole and directed the executive branch to treat U.S. parent firms and foreign subsidiaries the same. The only way Section 218 could be voided, the only way the foreign sub-loophole could legally be reopened, was spelled out in Section 605, which required the president to certify to Congress that Iran has been removed from the State Department's list of nations that sponsor terrorism.
We will maintain our own sanctions related to Iran's support for terrorism.
When the president announced the Iran deal in July, he did not mention that he was reopening the foreign sub-loophole while keeping Iran on the terror list in violation of his own law. Even government lawyers inside the Obama administration have concluded, Fox News has learned, that the federal courts have previously held that existing U.S. statutes trump executive agreements.
Now, I was listening to that. First of all, he was hosting an iftar dinner. I think that speaks volumes. Albeit George W. Bush used to hold Eid festival dinners, and it tells you that we've gone a little bit politically correct haywire at the White House, no matter who happens to be in charge at any one particular time. So the president's violating his own law. I mean, and this is not being, to my knowledge, Fox is the only news outlet so far. No wonder the White House hates it so much. The only news outlet so far to actually pick this story up. You're not seeing it in any major newspapers. You're not hearing it at CNN or MSDNC or over at the old alphabet networks. Simply put, I mean, this guy is being allowed to run roughshod. And if you're not watching Fox News, and really only about 1% of Americans do, that means the other 99% have no idea that this is going on. Here's a quick one. President holding an iftar dinner. So it's part of the outreach of the establishment in America to have warmer relations with the Islamic community. It's not going to be very long. That young boy who built the clock or reassembled the clock and then took it to his school in Texas, he's coming to the White House for a visit. Did you know? I found this at redstate.com yesterday. Ahmed's father is a 9/11 truther who believes the American government blew up the World Trade Center to start a war with Islam, and righteous killings are A-OK with him. Likewise, the school district is insistent that it has information that would reveal what truly happened with the clock, but Ahmed's family will not allow the school to release the information. The whole thing was a PR stunt, according to Eric Erickson, and the week after 9/11, so everyone from the president on down could fall all over themselves about religious tolerance for Islam. And of course, and completely unrelated, he says, it at least freed him up to go all gun control when the Oregon shooter targeted people for their faith. After all, he'd already shaken his finger on religious tolerance within this month. So now tells us a little bit these deals he's making with some of these people behind the scenes and some of his other relations. I don't know, folks, but you could almost say that this guy has all along been a Manchurian candidate, and that he was sent to take care of this role of destroying the United States. It just sends chills up my spine when I think about this deal with the Iranians and how it is so underhanded and what they are going to be capable of doing in just a matter of a few years. 8:30. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX, newsradio1310.com. Hey, speaking of people trying to defend themselves, they should have been allowed to do that in Oregon. Story out of a Caldwell. Got to share that with you a little later.